Hi there guys, it's Pip here from pipweekly.com. Today's video is all about motivation. So, I listen to a lot of Tony Robbins. If you don't know who Tony Robbins is, he's a American author, mindset strategist, and he's a motivator. He doesn't like to be called that, but that is part of his work. So basically what he does is he is a master of mindset. So he does work on how people think and how to get them to recognise and make their own adjustments in their faulty thinking. So Tony Robbins' story is he left his childhood home quite early. He was a janitor. He and he wanted to build a business, and he worked phenomenally hard. He'd worked till God knows what time in the morning to build his business, and he was overweight. He wasn't in great shape. He's in great shape now if you look at him, and I really suggest, if you haven't heard of Tony Robbins, you look him up. He speaks for himself really. So that's all from me about that. So I was listening to Tony Robbins, as I say, and one of the things he always talks about is the power of why is the power to achieve our goals. And he says that clarity is power. Again, that's one of his favourite sayings, clarity is power. And I guess I never really understood that. So as we look at more and more inspirational people who've got where they want to go, people who we deem as successful, we recognise that a lot of the habits they have are the same. So Brendan Burchard, who wrote The Amazing Motivation Manifesto, and again, he's on YouTube, he says that when we have something that we want to do, we either have commitment to it or not. And the two things that drive that commitment are really clarity, and the second one is then making a decision to commit to that. So it comes in two parts, and he says that we're either clear or uncommitted, in which case we take action, or we're unclear and uncommitted, in which case we don't. And a lot of this is subconscious, so I'm not going to go into the whole kind of Freud or any other models of the mind, but if you watch any of this mindset stuff, you'll know that excuse me, that it is all to do with your mindset. So everything that you have comes out of your mind. For example, I guess the reason why some of these videos are not any better, why the background isn't any better, is because I haven't developed a deep why for doing that. I'm sure hopefully that will come with time, but you have to have a really compelling reason. And Tony Robbins talks about having a big enough why, and that is crucial. So a lot of us have a why, but it's not big enough. So what I mean by that is, I don't mean you have some kind of crazy vision for living in a mansion. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of these successful people do, and that's why they become so successful. But sometimes when you have a dream like that, it feels like that, just a dream. It's so far away, and you're thinking, oh God, how the hell do I get from here to there, and just, like, what am I going to do? And you just quickly give up because your brain is trying to figure out the how of how you're going to do it. But that's not the number one thing. And a lot of, again, these speakers tell us that it's not the number one thing. The number one thing is having a big enough why, because if you have a big enough why, you've had the determination to find out a way. So here's what I want you to be just mindful of. Whatever job you're in, whatever occupation you're doing, I want you to ask yourself why you're doing it. And it might be pretty obvious to you, so you might be like, well, I'm doing it because I have bills to pay, or hopefully part of it will be like, well, I like it. And a lot of us, I think, don't see beyond that initial why, but you have to go a bit deeper than that. So there's this amazing trick called the 7 whys, and so you might say, oh, why do I go to work? Because I need money. Why? Because I paid the bills. Why do I need to pay the bills? Well, because that is the standard of living that is acceptable for me. Why is that the standard of living that's acceptable for you? Well, because that's the environment that I've grown up in, that's what I know. Okay, so why is that what you know? Why is that the environment you brought up in? Well, because that's what my parents grew up in, because that's what my grandparents had. Okay, why is that what your grandparents had? Well, because they were living in a different era when what they had was pretty good, and it was a stable 9 to 5 job that they had. And then you think, oh my gosh, I realised that actually this is a different era, so maybe, there is a possibility that I could change jobs and live a slightly different way of life, because we're living in a different era. So the kind of things that applied to my grandparents don't apply to me necessarily. So it's a fascinating way, and it's really useful. But I just want to bring that awareness to you today, that you have to have a big enough why. It's not enough to just have a why. I have lots of whys in my head, and a lot of them are just really kind of very whimsical thoughts. Are like, oh, it would be nice to. Have you ever had that thought? Oh, it would be nice to meet up with so and so. And you kind of you think about it, kind of, but you don't really act upon it. And the reason you don't do that is because your why isn't big enough. It's kind of like, yeah, I guess I could do that because I suppose I should, or I guess society would say it would be good for me, or it's a normal thing to do. That's a big trap. It's a normal thing to do. If you ever look at somebody called Alex Becker, who was a multimillionaire, Alex is what you would probably call quite extreme. A lot of people don't really like that. So Alex lives in America, lives in Texas, has had several successful businesses, started his business when he came out of the army, just said he just couldn't go on anymore. And he, he doesn't spend necessarily tons of time with his friends. He doesn't spend a ton of time on cleaning his house or on eating. He actually drinks these protein drinks called Fuel, which has all the nutrients in and all the flavour and all the protein in that he needs, or that anyone needs. That's why it's designed that way. And he spends just a lot of time doing his business because that's what makes him happy. So again, he has a big enough why, and he has sacrificed because he's recognised that the why for maybe hanging out with friends who are drinking and stuff like that, it sounds good in the moment, but actually it really wasn't as big as his why for progressing in his life and feeling that joy that comes with progression, because as we know, all of the studies have shown that actually what gives people a sense of happiness is actually progression. And there's more and more studies being done on this, and they all kind of show the same thing. So I really just wanted to bring that to your awareness today. So that is all from me. I'd love you to subscribe, to try and bring a video to you every single day about something that I've learned, whether it's from watching somebody else's video or something that I've realised in my own life. Because I do want people out there to not feel the way that I was feeling, which was so hopelessly lost, and not knowing where to look for guidance and support. And if I can just even push you in the right path, that would be pretty amazing for me. So yeah, do feel free to subscribe. You'll see in the description box that I have a website as well, because I want to help you all live your best life. So I've got a lot of blogs on that. Unfortunately, the website is shut down for the moment. I've had to take a break from business as you're watching this, but maybe if you're watching this at another time, I'm actually recording this in late June 2019, but hopefully it will be back up and running for when you are watching this video. But as I say, do feel free to subscribe. Videos are free, bring you one every day, and I'll see you tomorrow. You take care. Bye now.